All right. Well, happy Thursday, happy spring, even though we were watching snowfall a couple of days ago. Welcome to the April edition of the Kansas City User Group virtually. My name is Dale Ziegler, based here in Olathe. Happy to have all of you, whether you're in Kansas City, in the Midwest, around the country, around the world. I know we're all kind of Zoom fatigued, but I do love the virtual style still, just because we do for user groups, we do draw in people from all over the world. We're all here to learn from each other and share with each other and catch up with each other no matter where we are. So welcome. Welcome. As I said, I am Dale Ziegler. By day, I am a senior business analyst with Seven Summits, or as it's now officially known, Seven Summits, an IBM company. And then my co-leader is Mr. Jeff Berger, who is saving the world one PPP application at a time at Academy Bank. Jeff's doing some amazing things. I don't think he's going to be able to join us today, but Jeff is my fearless co-leader. He is a lot of the brains behind the operation, and you can reach both of us simultaneously at that email address down at the bottom that routes to both of us. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, any comments, hey Jeff, what can you do to get Dale to shut up, anything like that, you can email us there, and we are checking that fairly regularly. We are recording this, and we will be uploading it to our YouTube channel, hopefully by this weekend, if not sooner. But with that, if you're not allowed to be recorded, if you're not comfortable being recorded, please drop now. As I mentioned, we will be posting this on YouTube here in the next couple of days, maybe even by this evening, as well as any decks with this content, anything that Terry wants to share when he presents. We'll have all of that readily available, but if you cannot be recorded, please drop now. We're sorry to see you go. Totally understand. This will all be available later, so have no worries. And of course, Zoom etiquette. Rule number 1, if you are not speaking, please mute. There will be times for open conversation, and then absolutely unmute. But if you're not speaking, please mute. I have everybody set to be muted on entry, but just remember, mute, and I'll mute you if I hear some background noise. And then also down at the bottom, we know that Zoom accounts get shared across the family, and this is welcome to 2020 day number 500 now. So we're all doing Zoom for everything. We just ask that because this is a professional meeting, a networking meeting, just please put your real name in the participant list so that we know who's here. We do have a Slack channel. We are slowly but surely getting a little bit of traction on it. If you are not a member and you want to be, you can email us at that Kansas City email address, and we will get the invitation sent over to you as quickly as we can. So for those of you who are new to the Salesforce community or the Kansas City Salesforce community, we are a collective of people who want to help and share knowledge and share ideas about all things Salesforce, whether it's the core functionality, or Sales Cloud, or Community Cloud, or if you're in the nonprofit space, or Women in Tech, or Marketing Cloud, anything like that. We're a collective of groups, again, with one goal in mind, and that is to help, that is to idea share, that is to knowledge share. So you are joining right here, the general user group, and you can be anybody in this. You can be an admin, a developer, a marketer, whoever. This is where we all come together, but we do have the more specialty groups as well. You can get more information at this bit.ly here. To my knowledge, the nonprofit group is still officially inactive. The previous leader had to offboard however many months ago, and I haven't heard any updates about the group being reactivated. So if you are in the nonprofit space, or even if you're not, and you're interested in getting that group back up and running again, you can either reach out to me or Jeff, or there are channels within Salesforce directly that you can say, hey, KC, nonprofit, I want to do it, and we'll get you through that process. For our group specifically, we haven't put out the registration forms yet, but we do have a couple of meetings penciled in after this one, the next one being on May 26th, sponsored by Data Parrot, which is actually a company founded by two brothers from Lawrence. So keeping it local. And I'm just going to throw out there Rock Chalk, even though I'm wearing my Illinois shirt because of my wife. They will be presenting on their product. And then June 29th, we have Data Groomer, which is a data cleanliness, data integrity product as well. If you are interested in presenting at either of those meetings, though, in addition to those sponsors or at any other meeting in the future, when I share the link out or when I share the deck out, you will be able to access the speaker interest form. And tell us what you want to present on, and pretty much anything is inbounds for what you can present on. Cool stuff you've built in a dev org, how your company uses Salesforce, something specific that you're really passionate about, like flow or formula fields or reports or marketing cloud or whatever. Again, anything is inbounds. We would love to have you present. So when you get your hands on this link, and I'll share it in the chat later on once Terry starts presenting as well, we want to have you on stage. Please, we would love to see and hear from you. I have not checked the attendee list to see if we have anybody from the dev or WIT or marketing groups. If any of those leaders are on the call, do you want to unmute, and if you have any updates? Okay, no problem at all. Again, you can click on the bit.ly and get to those groups directly for any information on upcoming meetings that they may have. And again, if you're interested in leading the nonprofit group, reach out to me or Jeff or Salesforce directly, and we can help get the ball rolling on that. Do we have any other user group leaders or anyone from outside of Kansas City that wants to say hello?
Hello, it's Mireille from the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, sweet, we hit Europe. Welcome.
Yes, Europe is in the house. It's 6:10 over here, and it's sunny. It's been a sunny day. Yeah, that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, while you're enjoying dinner, we're enjoying lunch. So welcome, welcome. I see a message from Monica in the Bay Area. Fantastic. That's my original stomping grounds. We have Topeka. I know we have Indianapolis from Mr. Bender. We have Nebraska, Southern California. We have any East Coasters? Alberta, Canada. Very nice. 2 countries. 3 countries, I guess, count the USA as well. Springfield. We love our friends to the south. Very nice. Well, awesome. Everyone is welcome. You don't have to be from Kansas City here in Kansas City, whatever. We welcome anyone and everyone. That's the beauty of the virtual world. Do we have any Salesforce employees on the call?
Hey, Ryan Seavey here.
Mr. Seavey.
How's everybody doing?
We are great. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, just trying to keep up with everything.
Nice. So you know the slide, name, title, years with Salesforce, specialty.
Sure. So Ryan Seavey, title is Technical Architect Director here within Salesforce CSG. Been with Salesforce for 4 years, been in the ecosystem for, I don't know, 14, 15, I'm starting to lose track. Specialized market, just all things technical. So very much geared towards DevOps, all types of development, Heroku, Salesforce, and the like. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ryan. And Ryan and Terry, 2 of probably the smartest guys I have ever met in the Salesforce ecosystem, and good people all around. So definitely appreciate you being on, Ryan. And all the things that you do from the Salesforce side for all of us. So thank you. Crystal Still, I see Salesforce SE. You want to unmute, say hi super quick?
It says
Hi.
or something on the top.
Okay.
I am Crystal Stilley. My keyboard is dying, so it didn't finish typing there, but I am
Gotcha.
a service specialist at Salesforce, and I am in the financial services area.
Awesome.
So
Where are you based out of?
I am in Olathe, actually. So
Fantastic. Me too. All right. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Mhm.
All righty. So my always favorite slide of the entire deck. Celebrations. So who are our first time attendees? Go ahead and raise your hand or say hi.
I am.
Hello. Hello, Connie. And let's see who else we got. We got Kelly. We got Steph. We have Monica. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Again, always welcome. Hi, Diego. Love having first timers, love having the veterans, love having everyone in between. Do we have any new roles or jobs to either announce or inquire about?
So I'll offer this. Salesforce is hiring technical resources within CSG. So if you are interested in a technical architect role, solution architect role, business analyst, please let me know, and we can try to get you guys connected to our recruiting team.
Very cool. If you have any links or email that you want to share in the chat, can you drop those in there, please?
Yeah, sure. Let me see what I can find.
Okay, awesome.
Hey, Dale, this is Julie from Dextra or Ascend.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. And we're hiring as well. So I will provide a link and all remote positions. Sales side, we're hiring as well as technical.
Awesome. Love to hear that. So yeah, anything you want to share, throw it in there. We'll share it out later. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Corinne.
Hey, Corinne.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. How about you?
Good, thank you. C2FO is hiring for 2 Salesforce admins. So please reach out to me if you have any questions on those, and I'll post the link in the chat here.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Bender, your hand is raised. What do you got?
DEG has several openings across the Salesforce ecosystem, BAs, engineers, developers, marketing cloud experts. I'll put a link in here, but we've got lots of opportunities.
Awesome. Awesome. Diego, you've had your hand raised for a little bit. Anything to share? No problem. Joni.
Hi, good morning. Good afternoon. Torrent Consulting, we're looking currently for 4 positions, ranging from Salesforce analyst to consultant, as well as a solution architect. I've put the link in the chat, and we have more on the horizon. So if you don't see anything out there today, check back often.
Awesome. Thank you. I am loving hearing all of these openings. This is fantastic. So yeah, we will share these out. If you're not finding them in the chat, we will share them all out. I love to hear all these openings, and we have a great group of people that hopefully can swarm those and get them filled up as quickly as possible, and everybody wins. So fantastic. Thank you. Certifications, who has passed, who has failed, who is studying for what? And again, if you are first time to this group, we celebrate the failures more than we do the past, because it's an opportunity to collaborate, to learn, to be in good company, because we have all failed at some point. All right, I see Matt recently passed Sales Cloud Consultant. Awesome. Working towards PD1. Love it. Preparing for App Builder, past App Builder. Love it. That's a super good one, and I think definitely ties into what Terry's going to be talking about. Congratulations. Pardot Specialist. Very nice. Monica would love to connect with anyone who has experience with Pardot, and especially nonprofits. That is in the chat. So ping Monica if anybody can potentially help her out with that. CPQ specialist, marketing email specialist. Nice. Advanced admin. That's a fun one. Love it. Awesome, awesome. Failed my first attempt at PD1. There was a lot of visual force still on that. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But good luck on the next time around, Jared, and you'll get it. You will get it. So good luck, and a lot of good resources here to help you with that. Cleared platform 1, fantastic. Oh, Ryan, CTA. Oh, buddy, good luck. You can do it, man. That is fantastic. Omni Studio Consultant, awesome. These are ones I haven't even heard of. So I also love to see just how the landscape is growing in general. That is very cool. All right, preparing for advanced admin. Let's do awesome, awesome, awesome. Are there any study groups going? Like I know Terry, you had one going earlier this year. Anything
we
that
just
you
wrapped
have
up. We just wrapped
Yep.
up the advanced admin study group. Yesterday was our final session. So we've got a whole
Graduation,
new
if you will.
crew. Yep, graduated, and hopefully in the next couple months you'll have a few more advanced admins.
Very nice. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Yeah, so for those of you who are studying for your first cert, your second, your 8th, your 23rd, whatever, again, this is a group for all of us to idea share and learn from. So don't be afraid to put it out there that you're studying for XYZ. Chances are you will find, if you're looking for help, if you're looking for a group, there's a very good chance that we can help make that happen. So just put it out there, and we can definitely figure out how to get that moving forward. So I updated the link down at the bottom because it's been a year. It's been a year. We could put a period at the end of that sentence and walk away. But so it's been a year since Salesforce suspended the requirement for the second webcam on the online proctored exams. In poking around through documentation on Trailhead and everything, the explicit notation of we've suspended the webcam has gone away. But in speaking with people who have taken exams as recently as last week, they were still only required to take the online exams with the onboard camera right here. So I haven't researched what testing centers are opening up for the on-site proctoring. I don't know if, Johnson County Community College or there's a center somewhere in downtown Kansas City or wherever. I know they're all opening up at their own schedules. Obviously, online is the most convenient. Online fills up the most because there is someone on the other side of it proctoring it. So it's not like you can just, log in, take the test right now and expect to get in. I will say, if you do plan on taking an online exam, schedule it as soon as possible so that you have a date to work towards, but that you also have it reserved. But be mindful that at least my gut tells me if that explicit notation is no longer on Trailhead, there is a good chance they may be going back to requiring a second webcam. So just keep your finger on the pulse of that. That's all I'm going to say. And behind that is a link to Trailhead's certification requirements. Just keep an eye on it. Looks like people are saying JUCO, or at least Johnson County Community College is open. So if you do want to go on site, awesome, but they are opening back up. All right, community resources and events. So again, if you're first time to a user group meeting or new to the community, this is not just here in Kansas City. It's not just around the States. I mean, it is literally global. We have the Netherlands, we have Canada here. We are a global community. There are a ton of resources and events and educational opportunities and webinars out there. This is just a microcosm of all the resources that are out there, but ones that I do want to call out at the very top: MVP office hours. So I'm a Salesforce MVP. There's 250, 300 of us around the world. Based on our contributions and knowledge sharing and everything. There's a small handful of us, myself, Squire Kirshner in Milwaukee, Joy Shutters-Helbing in Chicago. We lead a call every 2 weeks, Fridays at 1 p.m. Central. Jared Kingston here in Kansas City, we inherited it from him. So there is definitely a local presence on it, and we do get a lot of locals on the call, which I love seeing and bragging about. But our next call is tomorrow. We are normally first and third Friday of the month, but Good Friday at the beginning of the month and a 5 Friday month made us shift a little bit. The registration links are there. Those are both shortened. So mvpofficehours.info or the bit.ly. Bring any question you have, be prepared to answer if you know the answer. You don't have to be an MVP to answer the question. Sometimes us MVPs ask the questions, but I know a handful of you that are on the call right now can absolutely attest to some of the awesome conversations that we have and some really good ideas that come out of that. So if you have an issue on an org right now, or just want to hear some great Salesforce banter, please join us. We would absolutely love to have you. World tours and other events you can find at salesforce.com/events. Apparently Dreamforce is back to tentative status this year. Which kind of shocked me when that was announced earlier this week, but that could be a thing. Trailhead X, I think registration is up and running. I don't know when exactly that is, but whether it's the world tours, the Trailhead Live, webinars, anything like that, you can get to any of those links, not only for upcoming events, but especially on the educational side of things. If it was recorded and you missed the opportunity to go see it live, you can catch the recordings at those same sites. So definitely go check those out. There's also community events, which are virtual / canceled, but that's where those of us in the community put smaller Dreamforces together. That site is always updated. So if you do get the opportunity to travel, or if there's a virtual event that you want to attend, all of that is behind the Trailhead site of community events. I don't think there's anything currently going on certification prep weeks or certification days, but at least not here in the States. I know there's some based in India and England right now, catered to their time zones. But those are also great 1-2 day training courses that you can go through, that then on the other end of it, you get discounts on taking the certification. So follow Danielle Karendian on the Success Community, and also follow the Trailhead blog there. Mentoring, if you are looking for an opportunity to give back as a mentor, or if you are looking, if you're a mentee that's looking for someone to mentor you, I love that program. I cannot say enough about it. You get connected with some really awesome people, and it's a great way to give back. It's a great way to seek help. Their algorithm is pretty spot on in terms of aligning skill sets, gender, age, locale, you name it. They do a really good job of getting the right people lined up so that everybody can move forward with their own journeys. And the idea exchange prioritization, I don't think we're in an open window right now, but follow that blog. That is your opportunity to give back to Salesforce and help reshape the roadmap. Please keep your snark to a minimum, because Salesforce are people too. They are doing their absolute best to get all the ideas in. Many of the ideas that either are submitted or not prioritized, there is a why behind it. There's always going to be some precursor reason why you can't have the pink pony. Well, first of all, you have to find a pony that wants to be pink to then make it genetically available, et cetera, et cetera. You see where I'm going with that? So definitely help shape the roadmap. Leave your snark at home, please, because I don't want to get into a Twitter fight with you, because I've done that before and it doesn't end well for anyone. So it's not worth the energy. Anyway, moving on. Summer 21, we just got out of the spring window and now we're going into summer. The infographic with all the dates, we have shared the PDF of that on the KCUG Google Drive, so you can click in there and download it. Release in a Box is an awesome resource for you to take to your company. It helps put together your roadmap of what you should be spending your time on for your company. The summer release is not available yet, nor have I seen an ETA on when it will be available, but that link is static. So keep your eyes on it. Right now it's through spring 21. Keep your eyes on it. They'll announce the dates. They'll update it when they're ready. And then definitely go download it and use it and break it apart. It's in PowerPoint format, so you don't have to take all 200 highly enriched slides. You can just pick and choose what you need from there and then craft it as your own. The preview release notes for summer were released on Monday, actually. It was supposed to be Tuesday and they released it early. So that's very awesome. Go start reading up on that. They are still technically in preview, which means it's basically the starter set. but they are updated weekly with new items. So go read through them, go find what you need, and then set a weekly cadence for yourself to go check for updates, because they are constantly updating them all the way through the production release windows. We are in the window for getting preview sandboxes enabled. So go follow, go check out that knowledge article on how. It's a great way to actually get your hands on the new release early. Trailhead modules will be available on the 7th. So still 3 weeks from now. Same thing with the feature matrix and the overview deck. Those are coming on the 11th. One thing that is always up and running is the Salesforce Release Readiness Strategies Trailhead module. This is release agnostic. If you want to be your company's best resource for how the new release will impact them, go through this module. Gives you great tips and tricks for how to prepare, how to plan, how to roadmap it, how to implement, how to do all the things. So go do that yesterday. Summer 21 is set to go into production on these weekends. I believe May 14th is really just like Salesforce's more centralized orgs. Most, if not all, customer orgs will be the weekends of June 4th and June 11th. And as always, follow status.salesforce.com, not only for, oh, hey, there's a slight disruption or things are going slow, but also there is a forward-looking maintenance release aspect to that will give you not only for your production org, but your sandboxes as well. When are things going? So always be checking out status.salesforce.com. Don't worry, I'm almost done talking. The Release Readiness live webinars will come out right around the Memorial Day time, just before then, so May 21st, and announcements will be coming on that to register. Global release webinars are usually once everything's in production, but it's also a good summarized view. I released a survey a couple of weeks ago asking who is and is not following the Release Readiness Trailblazers group. If you want all the information as soon as possible, go follow that group. And I highly advise setting your email settings to the daily digest, because weekly is a default. Again, I will take this to the grave, is the dumbest preset I've ever seen in the history of ever. Daily is the way to go with that. Certification maintenance. We passed the April 9th window a couple of weeks ago on admin. So hopefully everybody did it and didn't lose any of their certifications. Next window to get things done by for Heroku, Pardot, and B2B is in August, specific date to be announced. And then we circle around more of the platform dev and the app builder marketing cloud in December. And then we will come back to administrator being due in April of next year. All right. I'm gonna shut up after this introduction here. So Terry Miller, our good friend from just 3 hours north on I-35 in Des Moines, past presenter, I think past multi-time presenter, actually. We always love having the 15 or 16 or 48 times certified, whatever he's up to now. But talking about the importance of converting process builders to Flow. And the one thing I'll say is, yes, Flow is the future, but have no fear, at least in my opinion. My gut tells me, and Terry may talk about this, process builder workflow, they'll never be retired, just like Classic. There's going to be some hanger-oners. There's going to be some reasons to not retire it, but Flow is the future. And Terry's about to give us some really great perspectives and how-tos, I'd say more importantly, how-tos for getting your process builders into flows, because that's where all their focus is today. So with that, Mr. Miller, let's give you the floor, and thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction. Before we get started, I want to have a little bit of fun with you. So if you can, get a sheet of paper and something to write with. If you're like me, that takes a process, because I don't generally have a whole lot of paper in my office. But if you don't mind, grab a sheet of paper and something you can draw on. And while you're doing that, I'll introduce myself. As Dale said, I am the co-leader at the Des Moines user group, just a few miles north of you. I am a platform champion. I blog at terrystidbits.com. So you'll see my website up there on the screen. I also do a variety of training videos on YouTube. You'll find me on YouTube at Terry's Tidbits as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you would. It'd be awesome. It's fun to see new subscribers and all the different comments that people have on the videos that I share. A lot of the videos, for those of you who are looking to do your platform app builder or the admin study, admin certifications, there are a whole series of study group videos out there on my channel for that. And it's not me, but it's those who have presented. I constantly am getting feedback from all over the world, literally, of people saying, man, I watched your videos and I passed. It's like, oh, that's awesome. It's the most exciting thing I think I get is when I hear from people who have used some of those resources and have found some success with them. So if that's you, take advantage of it. They're out there for free. Also, as Dale mentioned, I do have 15 certifications on the platform. I qualify for the CTA, but I'm not ready for it, and nor really am I even studying for it. To be honest, I'm not quite there yet. But I've been doing independent consulting for about 13 years. Prior to that, I led the enterprise applications at a local healthcare organization here in the Des Moines area. And that's where I was first introduced to Salesforce. It was dropped on my desk, probably not unlike what some of you have experienced. Somebody says, here you go, stand this up and make it work for us. And that's when I got my start on the Salesforce side. So very, very fun stuff. That's a little bit about me for those who didn't know. Now, do you have your piece of paper? I do like this to be somewhat interactive. So I love seeing people's faces on camera. So if you don't mind, I would love it if you would share your video. It's just, for me, it's much more exciting. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to put up on the screen, and hopefully you're able to see my screen well. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. You see a timer on that screen, and what I'm going to have that timer count down 2 minutes for us, but I want you to, if you would, draw a house with that piece of paper. Now, don't get too concerned about how artistic you are or not, but if you would, I'm going to kick that timer off and give you the opportunity to draw a house. So go ahead and get started on that. If you're like me, you probably are not a great artist. I leave most of the artwork stuff for my wife to do. She's got a whole room dedicated to doing this sort of thing. I am not that creative, so I let her take charge of all of that fun stuff. Very good. Hoping to see some nice houses here pretty soon. Very good. Look at that. Dale's got his up there. Awesome. Very nice. Very nice. Excellent. Excellent. Now, I want you to stop for just a minute, and I apologize for this, but I know you're busy building your house and everything and making your project just perfect, but we have a change in direction that I need you to do. And I need you to change your house, if you would. And I'm sorry, it's not, well, it is my fault. I made it up. But if you could just change your house into a boat. We don't have time to get another piece of paper or anything, and we can't erase anything. We just have to change it, if you would. So if you could change your drawing into a boat, that would be helpful. I'm going to let the timer kick back off here for you. So use that remaining time. Again, my apologies. Get about 35 seconds here. So you got plenty of time to make some adjustments. Oh, Dale's no. All right, very good. Dale just took a different path. All right. my goodness. Now I just got a phone call from the guys upstairs, and the executives told me that they this one truly isn't my fault. This is their fault upstairs. They want us to change our project again, and we're really almost at the very last second of this. And they need this thing to be able to navigate land. So if you could just make some adjustments in the last moment here, so that this thing will navigate on land for us. I apologize. I know executives would never do this to us. Dale, you're awesome. I love that. Very good. All right, and there's the end of our timer. Put your pencils down. And if you are not shy, please show me your drawing. I would love to see what you've come up with. Very nice. Some of you do a nice job with building houses, car, boat things. I think that's fantastic. Awesome. Diego, you've got one there too, maybe? Nice. Excellent. Super. Awesome. This is what mine looked like when I did it. You guys did a much better job than I did. I think my boat looks more like a banana with wheels, but we'll get rid of that. Thank you for playing along with me. I use that illustration because sometimes it feels like Salesforce does this to us. Let me explain. So how many of you remember workflow rules? Everybody remember workflow rules? Hands up if you're on camera. I love seeing you. Yeah, workflow rules were amazing. They are amazing. You could do things like sending emails. You could create tasks. Forget, there were some other things you could do. You could even send outbound messages, whatever those were, because back then none of us really knew. And then came along Process Builder. And Process Builder was awesome because Process Builder had those little diamond shaped things with a true path and a false path. And we could do so much more with Process Builder than we could ever do with workflow rules. It was amazing. And then Salesforce does it to us again. About 2 years ago, I think it was whatever the last Dreamforce was, I was working as a volunteer in the admin meadows, and I was responsible for the automation booth. And for whatever reason, my co-leader didn't show up. And so I was there manning this booth all by myself and had all these people coming up asking questions about flow. And at that point, I really wasn't a huge expert in flow. But at the time, I believe her name was Shannon, was the PM or the product manager for Flow. And she took pity on me and came over and helped me with the booth. And I really should say she kind of just took over. I moved the mouse around a few times to demonstrate things, but she answered so many questions. And the thing that she said that stuck out to me was, you know, there's just not that much we can do with Process Builder to make it any better. What we really need people to do is start to transition to using Flow. And that kind of surprised me a little bit. And she got tons of questions, of course, about that. But it got me thinking, man, when I talk to admins out there, I'm always hearing from them saying something like, Flow is intimidating. And they open up Flow and they go into this big white open space and they don't know what to do. And they just like, oh, I don't want to go into Flow. It's too hard. I'll just stick with Process Builder. Well, that got me thinking, and there are actually quite a few similarities between Process Builder and Flow. And so if you are new to Flow, then this session's for you, because what I want to do is show you just how similar the two systems are. And we'll also talk about why you should consider making the move from Process Builder to Flow. And as you have questions as we go through this, please feel free to ask. I love the interactions. I do have the chat up on the screen, and if I miss something, Dale, just kind of reinforce that, hey, there's a question out there for me. That would be awesome. Otherwise, feel free to unmute as well and ask questions as we go through things. So if I share my screen this way, do you see it okay? I'm looking for a yes there. Good. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, and I'm going to put some glasses on so I can see a little bit better as well. What I've got here on this particular Salesforce org is a bunch of automations that I've set up with Process Builder. And we're going to make a change to a couple fields, and you'll see how the Process Builder is reacting to me. The first one I want to change is the CSAT rating. We're going to change this to, hey, they're unsatisfied. And what's going to happen is our customer priority is going to update to high priority. I'm also going to click this nice little checkbox here that says update all contact addresses. And what will happen when I update that, you'll see here, if I hover over the names, the contacts, you'll see that the address there is the same currently as it is on the account. But I noticed that I'm missing the state, and I really don't like drive spelled all the way out just because I'm a little bit picky. I'm going to abbreviate drive, and I'm going to put the state in. Check that little box. And when I save the record, I do indeed see that the customer priority switches up to high. My address is there, and let's check our contacts. And indeed, those also updated appropriately to reflect the change. Okay, that's simple stuff we would do with Process Builder. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like. On the account object, we have our starting object here, simply indicating that it is an account and when a record is changed and edited. If I scroll all the way down here, there's the CSAT decision. When that equals unsatisfied, we go down this true path where we update the customer priority. We put a chatter post out there as well, and we are notifying the owner's manager that, hey, we got a problem with this particular account. There's also the update address that will go through and if the box is checked, update the contacts. And then it comes back and removes that checkbox for us. So that is the Process Builder that we are going to be replicating as a flow. So we're going to focus on record trigger flows. As Dale mentioned, record trigger flows or flows in general, you're seeing tons of investment going into the flow in world. And honestly, it's a little bit difficult to even keep up with all of the changes because they're changing things with every release so fast. I was working on a project with a client just, I want to say 2, maybe 3 months ago, and I had to, it took me forever because I had to manage some variables and errors, things with pick lists that were just really difficult to do. And now Salesforce has a solution for that in the next release, and I'm super excited about that. But it's sad for the client that they had to pay a ton for me to actually build that out better. But anyway, things are the point. Things are constantly evolving, and they're making it so much easier as we see every release of Salesforce. So record trigger flows.
Hey, Terry, can I interrupt for a second? I'm
Yes.
seeing a lot of comments still in the chat that it's still pretty fuzzy.
Is it fuzzy?
Yeah.
All right, let me share my screen differently then. Let me actually go with a regular Zoom share. And let me get to where I can do that. I appreciate you saying that. And we will go, I think it is this one. And let me know if this is any better once it comes up. That work better? Oops,
Yeah.
I think it's looking clearer. It's looking kind of small.
Okay. All right. I will adjust that as well then. Give me just a second. I want to get you guys where I can see you as well. appreciate you all letting me know that. Let me get to where I can see the chat again as well. All right, cool. And let's make my screen now bigger. How about that?
That looks great. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate you letting me know.
Sure. Thank you.
That's why all the interaction is fantastic. All right, cool. So what we're going to focus on is what we call record trigger flows. And in my opinion, this is Terry's opinion only, I think record trigger flows, for those of you that are learning or trying to learn flow, this is your best entry point. Because Salesforce has kind of spelled things out in a way that's a lot more prescriptive with record trigger flows, and you don't always have to know some of the more complex things that you would with perhaps a screen flow. So we're going to take this example that we have, and we are going to simply take and replicate this using record trigger flows. And so I've got another tab here with flows. And if you're creating a process builder, one of the very first things you would do is you would navigate over to process builder and you would click you'd create a new process. We have to do the exact same thing with flow. So by simply typing in flow, it will take you to the menu. And we're just going to click the new flow button up in the top right corner. And we're presented now with some options. As I mentioned, screen flows, probably your hardest. Scheduled flows is just what it sounds like. It lets us schedule jobs to where I can run a process on a certain time frame. Auto launch flows are kind of similar. It's without the schedule. You're kicking it off either through code or through process builder. Record trigger flows, that's my favorite. That's the one we're going to focus on. And this is the one that closely aligns with process builder. And then platform events, we'll leave that for the really technical folks to explain. And I just hit the wrong button. So let me go back. We don't want to do a screen flow. We want a record trigger flow, new flow, and make sure you click on the record trigger flow so you don't do what I just did, and click next. And it's going to present us with two options. And I am going to suggest, even though it's in beta, that we use the auto layout. Auto layout is going to make the interface, I talked about that big white open space that you see when you go into flow, that huge canvas, and you don't know what to do with it. Auto layout simplifies this significantly. So I want you to choose auto layout. Now in process builder, we have up here at the very top, we have that little start element where we have to define the object. We have to do that same thing over here in flow. No different. It looks perhaps a little different, but the concept is the same. I'm going to simply choose my object, and this is going to be the account object. Now you'll notice I can type in here and it does narrow down my list. That's awesome. That's just a huge time saver. You can also scroll through the big list of objects if you choose to. I like to type it in. Now, one of the other things that we can do inside of Flow that we couldn't do with Process Builder is we can narrow the scope of the records that get evaluated right in the process of defining that start element. I'm going to suggest that you don't do that. I'm going to suggest you click on the required elements and you simply say none. Now we've got the exact same feel of Process Builder. It goes through and you're letting decisions in Process Builder determine what you do. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to click done. We are on the account object now is defined here. And then we've got this other section that is a little different than Process Builder. So let's take a look. And it says here that trigger the flow when a record is created or updated, or created and updated. Well, if I think about Process Builder, that's not terribly different concept than what we have here. run the process only when the record's created or when it's created or edited. And my mouse just lost there for just a moment. So we've got that same concept here, and we've got also is deleted. Now, I don't know why you would want to delete a record per se, but if you did, you can do a delete record also here. Now, this gets a little bit interesting. This next section down, let me go ahead and choose records created or updated. But this next section is run the flow before a record is created, before a record is saved, or after a record is saved. And I'm thinking to myself, I just hit the save button. It just saves the record. Why do what's this concept of before and after? Well, let me kind of show you. There is this concept that Salesforce has called order of execution. Order of execution is all of the little baby steps that happen when you are saving the record, that it's all happening behind the scenes that perhaps you didn't know was even occurring. But before record saves is the items that you're going to see on the left-hand side of this chart, and the after the record is saved is on the, I said that backwards. Left, I did say left hand. Left hand is before, right hand is the after. So you have things like system validation, and then you have record trigger before flows. You have Apex before triggers. You have user validation, so that think of your validation rules. And you have duplicate rules. There's a few other things that I didn't put in here, but those things all happen before the record is actually saved or written to the database. After the record is written to the database, we then have after record trigger, or after, goodness, Apex after triggers. We have assignment rules, workflow rules, process builder, flow. Interesting, look at where process builder and flow run into here. We have escalation rules and entitlements, and then this one is the record trigger after flow. It's almost at the very, very end before we actually commit the entire transaction of saving that record. This is super, super important, especially when we are looking at this concept of before a record is saved and after it's saved. And so this is my rule of thumb. How do you know which one to use? If you are updating a value or an element on the record that triggered the flow, you will want to use the before. Anything else is going to be in the after. Now, Salesforce is also going to help you define this, because as we get into looking at what we can do, there's a much limited set of options for us to choose from in the before. And there's a lot more things we can choose from in the after. So let me ask you this question. Please unmute and answer me, or put it in the chat if you could. In the use case that we have, let's start with that CStat. I need to update that customer priority. Is that going to be a before record trigger flow or an after record trigger flow? Okay, good, good. Excellent. Before, that is right. I see all of those in the chat window. Fantastic. You are smart people. All right, so we're going to go with the before record trigger flow. And now I've got my start element fully defined, and I can move forward with some action. So you'll notice that we have this add element plus sign here. I'm going to click on that. And I've got just a handful of options here. I just have these 4 things to choose from, which makes it kind of simple, kind of like Process Builder. And I know that in Process Builder, I have that little diamond true false thing with its requirements. And when I'm over here in Flow, I notice that I kind of got a diamond shaped thing here too, and they just call it a decision. And so let's take a look at that diamond shaped decision. And it's a little bit different than what we had before. Everything seems to, in Flow, wants us to give it a name. It looks a little bit different, but in Process Builder, I had to give things a name over here too. It just was a little bit more obvious. I called that CSTAT rating unsatisfied. So let's do the same thing. Now I have a naming convention that I use for my flows, just because if I get into one that's a lot more complicated, it's kind of nice to have a naming convention. So you'll see me use a naming convention on almost everything here that I do. CSTAT, we'll just call it rating. And so that's my name. And then I come down here to the outcome details section, and I see that I have by default a new outcome and a default outcome, kind of like true, false. Okay, true and false. So if I wanted to define that true path, I'm going to say that they are unsatisfied. And I am going to be the world's worst speller. And so I've got unsatisfied now is my label. Again, that would be my true path. And I need to then define my condition. I define my condition in Process Builder right here, same thing. Coming over to the flow, and that decision is, I don't see the fields that I was expecting to see here. I kind of thought I would just see CSTAT rating as an option, and it's not here. So I wonder what's going on there. Let me explain a little concept, and this is really, really important for flow, especially record trigger flows. You see this dollar record? Dollar record is your friend. Okay, remember that dollar record is your friend, and it's your friend because it represents the record that triggered this flow. You'll see that they put the name account right underneath it to make it a little bit more clear. But dollar record, if I click into that, now shows me all of the fields that were part of that object. And so I'm looking for CSTAT. And again, I could scroll through this list and find it, or I could simply start typing. There's CSAT rating. Equals is my operator. And the value is unsatisfied. Okay, that's my condition. No different, again, looks other than the look, conceptually exactly the same as what we had in Process Builder. So there's that decision for my true path. And jumping back over, we then have this default outcome. You can kind of think of this as the false path. I'm going to simply call it satisfied, because I don't like the wording of default outcome. And it's just me. You can use it if you like it. It's not going to hurt anything. You could even change these to true false if you wanted to. So decisions work very, very similar, as you can see, to what we were used to with Process Builder. Now, also, they, like everything with Salesforce, they give us more whenever they build something new. We have this little plus sign here, and I could actually, instead of just having a true false path, I could have multiple paths that come out of this decision. So if I wanted to extend this further and say we have an unsatisfied condition, we have a satisfied condition, and we have an unknown or a, I don't know, whatever those other options were in my pick list, I could define a different path for all of those right inside of the one decision. So in that use case, this is actually quite a bit more powerful than what we could do with Process Builder. So we're not going to do that because we're just going to match what we were doing in the Process Builder. So we're happy with the way this looks. We're going to click done. And you can see now I've got my decision on the canvas. I've got an unsatisfied path and I've got a satisfied path that match the label that I gave each of those, true and false. All right, actually, it's the other way around, true and false. I'm going to now start to be able to build the actions that we had set up when that condition is true. So our immediate actions, our first one is an update record, and we're updating the customer priority to high. You can see I've got a customer or a name here as well. and all of its conditions. So let's see how that looks if we were to do this in Process Builder. All right, so again, we're going down the unsatisfied path. If it's unsatisfied, we want to set the priority to high. All right, so I click on my little plus sign, and I notice that I am presented now with a few more elements that I have access to. And I'm looking for the update, and I'm not seeing an update here. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, again, what did Salesforce do to me that's so much different? Now, why didn't they just give me an update item? Well, what they did, remember that order of execution? If we are creating a brand new record and I'm in a before record trigger flow, I haven't created a record yet. This record does not technically even exist in the data model. So I would not have the ability to do an update record here. So I'm still working with this record in memory, so to speak. And because of that, all I need to do is set values within that memory version of the record, and I can do that with an assignment. So assignment, we will set priority. Okay, and my variables, remember $record our friend. $record is our friend, and we're going to find that customer priority field. Simply select that, and we're going to set it equal to high. And we now have that first action of our process is now complete. The second action that we had was the chatter post. So let's take a look at that one. Still going to stay down that unsatisfied path. I'm going to click the add element again. And because of some of the fun stuff we did here with my screen, I can't see everything. So I'm going to back it out just a little bit so I can see what we're doing. So I am looking for chatter. And I'm thinking, I don't see chatter here either. So they're hiding stuff from me. And then I stop and I think Terry said that if I'm interacting with the object that triggered the flow, it's in the before. But if I'm interacting with anything else, he said it would be in the after record trigger flow. And so I wonder if, because I'm working with chatter is not the object that triggered this flow. It's associated to the object that did, but it's not the object. And that means I must need to do an after record trigger flow as well. So if that was your thinking, you're right. So let's save this one. We're gonna, just like we would with Process Builder, we would save a record or save our process. So let's save this as the account before record. I should probably capitalize stuff, but record trigger flow. Now, if you're a good admin, you would put a description in here. I'm not for today. I'm going to simply hit save. And you'll notice now that I have saved this, and I do have this little activate button up here, just like I do in Process Builder, where I have to activate it. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to simply come back over to another screen, and we're going to create an after record trigger flow. I'm going to move through this one a little bit faster. This is a record trigger flow. We're going to click next. We're going to choose the auto layout. Choose our object is the account. No conditions. And it is when the record is created or edited, updated, and it's going to default to that after. Okay, so that's my start element. And I'm going to click on the little plus sign and look to see in here, wow, I do see a lot more stuff. I've got create records, update records, get records, delete records. Those are all interesting. My logic looks like it's the same as the before. And then I've got this thing called actions, and I don't see chatter called out specifically. So I'm going to check underneath that action just because it sounds interesting. And it's got quite a bit of stuff going on over here too. I've got categories. Yeah, I'm not sure what any of that is. I'm just going to come over here to the action, and it looks like I can type in stuff. So let me just do a quick search, and I'm going to type in chatter, and look at that. There's this post to chatter option that's available to me in this action. So let's take a look at that. And it comes up with this nice form, and it asks me for a label. So let's just call it post to chatter to be super creative. And a good admin, again, would probably put a description in here. I'm not going to do that today. And then I come down to the bottom half of the screen, and it's asking for what's the message. Well, the message is what is it that you want to put in the chatter post. So I'm going to simply paste in the same message that I had from Process Builder, with one exception. And that exception is, in Process Builder, I had the account name variable listed. For sake of time, and I'm not going to put the merge field in here. I'm also not going to do this the correct way, which would be to define a variable type constant and put my message in that, and then refer to this message using a variable instead. If you're totally confused by this concept of variables, I'm working on a new flow series called Fundamentally Flow, where we're going to explain this whole concept of variables. But because this is a super introductory deal, we're just going to simply type in our message directly into this form. Ideally, again, that would not be the way we would do it. All right, target name and ID. That sounds like where I would connect it to the account record. So we're going to go to our friend $record, and we're going to look for the account name, parent account. All right, so we'll go with that. I think that is what I want to have happen. And that should hopefully create for me my action. Actually, it is not going to be the parent account. It's just going to be straight up account ID. Okay. And I'm going to click done. And now I've got my post to chatter. I'm looking at that thinking, uh-oh, I forgot something. I forgot I have a decision here that I need to do, because I put that on my before. I forgot I'm going to need to do that also in my after. So I need to create another, I need to put another element in before this. We're going to have this be our decision for CSTAT. If I can get my fingers to type for me. And this is just going to look the exact same as what we did previously. We're going to have unsatisfied. Excuse me there. And it is $record, our friend. CSTAT rating equals unsatisfied. And this will be our satisfied path. Only when the record triggers to update, that would make sense to select that option. Okay, so now I've got my decision, but I'm looking at this thinking, uh-oh, my action is now not down on the path that it's supposed to be. And so I'm going to simply click into that action. And I've got the option here to copy this element. And so I'm going to simply copy it. And then I can click up here underneath this plus sign and do the paste element. That lets me move it, but it still hangs out down here. So let's click on it again and just simply delete it. Okay, so now I've got my post to chatter. That is all ready to go. And I'm looking now to accomplish my last step, which was the email that we were sending our email to the manager. So notify the manager. And you'll notice that on Process Builder, we were using an email alert. Remember the old workflow rules and the email alerts that we had? That is what we are going to use here as well. So let's jump back over to our after. Okay, and we're going to simply click on the little plus sign. And again, I don't see things like email here. So I'm going to assume we're going to go into the action, and I'm going to type in email. And this time, instead of just one option, I've got two options here. One of those says send email, simple email. That's kind of cool. The other one says underneath it, email alert. Email alert, that's the same email alert that you're using in Process Builder already. So if I select that one, all I have to do here is give it a name. Label. Email manager. Email manager. And then my $record ID. So $record account ID. Select that. And that's all I need to do for my email alert. And what's the error? What did I miss? What are you not liking there that I did not do for you? Maybe I did not select that field like I needed to. So let's try that again. There we go. I think because I typed that in wrong, it just got a little bit confused. So there is my email alert portion. Now, if you're curious about the other email option that we had, it is kind of cool. So let's take just a really quick look at it. We'll go in and say email. I no longer have to use an email alert and an old classic email template to do this. I can actually create my email template, all of it right inside of Flow. So that's kind of cool. So if you are wanting to shift away from all of those old classic email templates, this is a way that you can now do that, is just using the other send email option. Okay, so let's save this. This is our after account record trigger flow. And again, I'm going to be a bad admin and not give it a description. All right, so let's jump back over and check this out. So I've got my decisions. I've got customer priority is all there. That piece is done. Chatter is done. Notify customer manager. That part is also done. I've deactivated my process. So that's cool. And let's jump back over to our flow. And just for fun, let's go ahead and activate this. Let's see how we're doing so far. So I'm going to activate that first before trigger flow, and I'm going to activate the after trigger flow. And let's test it out and see what happens. So I'm back on my Arrowhead Stadium account record. Let me just reset things so that it is back to where it belongs. And we'll come back to the address here later, but let's test and see how we're doing so far. Okay, so this is where it always gets kind of nervous and real when you're doing this live. So let's try switching this back to unsatisfied and save the record. Okay, so let's see, did I get customer priority? Did go to high, so that part worked really well. Let's check out Chatter. Chatter is right there too. There's my message for Chatter. So it looks like we did pretty good. We got rid of the one item out of Process Builder and we transitioned it over. So now let's take a look at the next one, which is our address object, where we wanted to update the contact records so that their address matches what's on the account. And then we have an uncheck, going back to uncheck that record. So here's the question, put in the chat for me if you would. No is what no was not active. Did I miss something? Process
I was
Builder
just
is
answering
still
the question
active.
above, sorry.
Oh, you're right. I didn't deactivate that, did I? All right, we'll test it again in a moment. Thank you. I love doing this live because you just never know what you're going to get. All right, update address. So let's take a look at this one now. So the question in the for you all is, if I'm updating the addresses on the contact, is that going to be before or after on my flow? Before or after record trigger flow? After. Good, good, good. Awesome. Excellent. You guys are smart. You could be doing this instead of me and probably wouldn't have made the mistake of not unactivating your process builder. So let's take a look at our next step then. So we have a decision to make in process builder. So that decision is simply the update address, and we're looking at the update all contact addresses checkbox equals true. We're going to go down here to the plus sign. Again, my screen is making it hard for me to see it. So let's zoom out just a little bit. There's my decision element. Decision update contact addresses. And I am going to just simply say check box true on this one. And we'll say checkbox false on the other. All right.
Terry, really quick, there's a question on why after.
Yeah. Okay, Connie, good question. So why after is, remember on the order of execution, before records, we haven't even saved our information yet. So let's take the concept of maybe I'm creating an account record here for the first time. I may not even have any contacts on there. And so if Salesforce allowed me to update contacts that don't even exist yet, it's going to error out on you. So we have to make sure that we have data in the system. So that would be one thing. And what Salesforce is going to do inside of the flow for you is they are going to even prevent you the ability to go update another record in that before. They really are guiding you and trying to help you make a good decision. So it's kind of Salesforce's built-in training, so to speak. So after record trigger flow, anytime I'm updating anything that is not what triggered the flow, it's going to be in the after. Thank you for stopping me. I appreciate that. Okay, back to, let's go ahead and get this finished up. Remember our friend, $record, $record, and it is the update all contact addresses. So we're going to select that equals. Now Salesforce also has some default variables that they've created for us. One of those is this simply true and false right here. So we're going to say if that checkbox is marked as true, then that's going to be our condition. So we're going to use that global constant of true. You will find that there's also a global constant of a blank value. So if we were working with something like a text field, you would have the option of choosing a empty string. So they try to guide us a little bit into making some good choices here. They won't let you choose something that's not right, which is kind of nice. So if the record triggers that, we want this only when the record triggers the flow to run. And we are done with that decision. And we're ready now. Let's jump back to Process Builder and make sure we understand what we're doing. We are going to update contacts. So it's all of our contact records that are related to the account, and we're updating the mailing address based off of the billing address. Okay, so let's click our little plus sign. And we're going to scroll down here to these data elements. The data elements are all the pink ones. We aren't going to create a record, although we could. We're not going to. We're going to do an update record, and I'm going to give it a label, update contacts. All right, so now I get down to this next question, how to find the records to update and set their values. And this one may be just a little bit more confusing, but in Process Builder, we had to kind of do that when we were setting this account records or account.contact. The difference is that with flow is much more powerful than what we had with Process Builder. And in Process Builder, we could update those contact records, but the process knew a little bit more of the context in which it was running. Flow, because we could be building a screen flow, we could be doing an auto launch flow. It's not quite as aware of the context in which it's running. And so we do have to define the records a little bit more. It's a little bit more work on this particular piece. So do I want to use IDs and all field values from a record or record collection? And I'm going back and thinking record collections, those don't sound like things that I know anything about. I haven't gone through Terry's fundamental class yet, so I really don't know what any of that is. So I'm going to try checking this other box. Simply specify conditions and identify records and set the fields individually. That one at least sounds a little bit more like something that might make sense to me. So it asked me for an object, and I think the object that I'm going to be dealing with here is the contact, because I want to update those contact records. So let's select contact as my object. And then it gives me this a whole bunch more stuff. I've got a condition here that I can define that identifies which contacts do I want to update. Now I could say none. That's what I did when we created our first our start block. But if I did this, every contact within Salesforce is going to get updated. I don't want that to happen. I only want the contacts to get updated that are associated to the account. So I'm going to say and I'm going to look at my list of options here, and these look like my contact fields. And they look like my contact fields because that's what they are. They are my contact fields. I'm going to choose the account ID, and I'm going to say where that account ID is equal to my best friend $record account ID. Okay. Now, this is a little, it flows a little intimidating. Yes, all right. I don't looking to see if there's any questions around that. This piece is important because Flow or Process Builder did make this a little bit easier than what it is in Flow. So all we're doing here is we're making sure that we are narrowing the scope of the records that we're going to update. Okay. If you're a developer, this is nothing more than your query statement, the where clause of your query. All right, so now I'm ready to set some field values. So I'm going to click into the fields and I'm looking for my mailing addresses. So I'm just going to simply add a few of these fields in quickly. Mailing, city, let's do the postal code. Mailing, state. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, it's country, aren't I? I'm missing country. Country. Okay, so there's the fields. Now I need to set their value. And again, this is going to be my $record. $record. Billing. City. $record. Postal code. Record. Billing state. All right, for those of you who are Flow experts, make sure I didn't miss something here if you don't mind. Country. Hopefully I got all of those right. City to city, postal, state, street, and country. That looks pretty good. All right. Now, so that was my first element of my process builder. So that's the update. If I go back to the show more and look at the unchecked, I've got to go back now to the account object and uncheck that checkbox. That way I don't keep doing this all the time inadvertently. I only do it when that checkbox is initially marked. Now, my question is, Terry told me that when he is updating a field that's on the object that triggered the flow, that it would be in the before. However, that is like a 95% true rule. This is the 5% part of the rule where it is not true. And the reason that it's not true here is because if we were to update that checkbox and remove it in the before, by the time I get to the after, it's no longer checked. And so nothing would happen. So I can't do this, that I can't uncheck the box in the before. I've got to do it in the after here. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose. So let's go ahead and add another element. My goodness, that screen just really likes to hide underneath there for me. Let's see if I can just drag that up a little. That works as well. Okay, so plus sign. And I'm thinking, okay, when we were working on these before, we just used an assignment. So I kind of think maybe I could use an assignment. And if you're kind of thinking that, I would just want to tell you you're kind of wrong. And the reason is, remember again, back on that order of execution, this is so important. I'm sitting over here now in an after. My record save was way back here. If I used an assignment, I don't hit this again. So I can't use an assignment here. I've got to actually use an update update element. So let's jump back out of that. Let's click on plus and let's go down, and you can see here's my update records. I'm going to choose that. And we're going to update the account. And I'm going to use the same process that we did up above. We're going to specify the conditions, and it's simply going to be the account object. There's now again where I need to define the condition, and it's going to be where the account ID, that's our record ID, equals our dollar record account ID. Here. And then we're going to find that checkbox field. I can remember what we called it, update all contact addresses, and I'm going to set that to false. Click done. All right, let's try to save this, and you can see that now my save is disabled, and it's disabled similar to the same reason that it was disabled with Process Builder. In Process Builder, if we were going to make a change, we would have to hit the clone button. We have to do that same kind of thing here in our record trigger flows. They call it a save as instead of a clone. So if I do a save as, I've got the ability to create a new version, just like Process Builder has, where you have your multiple versions. Same concept here with flow. I can do a save as, and that's going to create for me a version 2. So you can see up here in the name on that top left-hand corner, it now is V2, and I can now activate it again. So let's give it a shot and see what we end up with. Now that I've got Process Builder turned off, we're going to check them both out here. So let's test this. We'll reset this guy back to satisfied and none. And now we're ready to try them both out. So let's give it a shot. Okay, unsatisfied. Priority is currently none. I'm going to go ahead and spell out the name drive. I changed my mind. I didn't like the abbreviation. And let's go ahead and, for fun, let's give it a country and hit save. Uh-oh, we definitely missed something here. So drive is spelled out. Let's see if we got that one to work. Let me go back to look at our contacts. Uh-oh, I've messed something up all the way around, didn't I? All right, flow people. This is the beauty of live demonstrations right here. These are activated. We did have our decisions, but none of it ran like it should have. Unsatisfied record, CSTAT equals unsatisfied and satisfied. I'm going to look at the chat to see if anybody else is seeing what I did not get right. So that one looks pretty darn good. Record priority. Oh, right there. Look at that. I didn't set the value. So that should go to high. Let's save that. Do a save as. Okay, and that's activated. We will go now up to version 3 on that one. And I guess we're still at version 2. And how did everything else turn out? So we had our decision. This is the beauty of troubleshooting things. So decision is all contacts equals true. That looks right. Only when it's triggered the flow to run and to meet the condition. That part looks good. Update. What did we miss here? Contact object. Account ID equals our record account ID. Oh, we didn't set it here. We missed this one. I shouldn't say we, it was me. I missed this one. Country. Billing. Country. Let's try to get that right here. My dog says hi if you can hear him. Billing country. Make sure that's saved this time. Okay. Did we get anything else go through? Did our chatter post work? I've got a recent chatter post, so that looks like that part worked. I don't have my email open, so I can't check for sure on the email. Let's go ahead and activate that fix. Save as, new version. Let that do its thing, activate. All right. See none of you trying to help me out in the chat window, so thank you for being so kind to help me with this. Let's go ahead and change it around again to satisfied, get it back to our original condition. And all right, so let's save that. And let's try it out. Okay, round 2. We are unsatisfied. We are going to update our addresses and put a, oh, you know what? I didn't put the, let's just for fun change Kansas City to Missouri, even though I know that's not true. And I hope I'm not offending anybody by doing that. But I just want to make sure that we have something different that gets updated. So let's save that. Cross my fingers that there's my chatter. Arrowhead, let's look at our contacts. Yes, it did work. We went to Kansas City, so that's awesome. Still didn't get the customer priority, so I'm definitely missing something there, and I won't bore you with trying to figure out what that is. What I would like to do, though, is ask if you have any questions. Go Terry, we're doing a great job. Thank you for that. Remember, just a newbie here. So Kelly, I'm going to pick on you if it's all right. How does that make a little bit more sense on process or flow, having the ability to see how that looks in comparison to Process Builder? It's a great demo. I love watching this and stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that, Monica. Love. Yeah, and Connie, I didn't make those mistakes on purpose. So that was just me being bad. I told you I was a bad admin, and that's why. But if you want an independent consultant to help you with solve all your problems, happy to do that. I'm just teasing, of course. Excellent. All right, good. So here, the question that you might now have is what Dale brought up at the very beginning is, so are you telling me that I need to move away from Process Builder, or that Process Builder is going to go away? No, I'm not saying that. It's kind of like Classic though, and Lightning. Salesforce has done absolutely everything they possibly can to get us to transition over to Lightning for good reason. I think you're going to see the exact same thing happen here. I think they're going to push you as much as they can to learn flow. And this is your easiest entry level. Again, record trigger flows, easiest way to get that done. Now, is Process Builder going to go away? No, but one of the things Shannon said to me, again, this was a couple years ago, I assume it's still true. They are not investing any dollars in Process Builder. As she said, there is absolutely nothing they can do to make it better. You get those long, ugly emails of error messages, they can't fix it. They can't make those error messages any easier to read or understand. So they are encouraging us to make that transition. Did you by chance, or did you change the flow from a before to an after? Or I did. I don't think I did. Maybe. I'll go back and check it later. But you could.
I was wondering if that's even possible, because you started with the before,
Right.
and then you discussed doing the update on the chatter object, starting from the account, and then I wondered, did you?
Who knows? Who knows? I'll go back and figure it out. But so why else would you want to make this transition? And I want to show you, when I first started doing this particular presentation, this was not an article that was out at the time. It has since come out. And I'm going to throw this in your chat window. If you are crazy technical and you really want to understand kind of the behind the scenes stuff with this, this is a really good article. Oops, sorry, I just sent that to Nick and not everybody. Let me change that. Everybody in the meeting gets to see this. This article, if I slide all the way down, it's incredibly long, but it gives you some of the reasons for why you should choose one automation tool over another. Again, it gets pretty technical, so you kind of do with it what you want there. But if I keep going all the way down here to the bottom, there's this really cool chart that I want you to see. And it's this one. It's going to be slightly blurry. It's slightly blurry on my side as well. This is the overhead added to a single record save by a same record field update trigger. A lot of words that basically say we are going to compare a before record trigger flow to a process builder, to Apex, to workflow rules, all of those fun things. Right here, this very first chart, this is the amount of time that it takes to save the record. The before save Apex. So if you've got Apex people, developers, they can do a same record update in 0.2 seconds. A before record trigger flow can do it in 1.6 milliseconds. And after save Apex 17, a workflow rule, which is slightly deceptive, I think, in this number, it's 18.76. It is fast, but if that workflow rule causes something else to change, then you have to repeat your order of execution. You kind of start over at the beginning and work your way back through it. So it's slightly deceptive. The after save flow, 98.56. Here's Process Builder with an auto launch flow. So kind of a modification. Here's Process Builder, 154.4 milliseconds. So think of that CSTAT score, when we were changing the priority to high, here's your difference. 1.16 compared to 150.4. That's a pretty compelling reason if you're in any kind of sizable org to make a transition over to record trigger flows. Now, does that mean you should do it, or that's kind of a choice that you have to make. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and let you ask me some questions if you need to. But what I've recommended to people when they're looking at making this transition is this: get comfortable with some of your more common smaller objects. I shouldn't say common, your smaller objects where you don't have a lot of automation on it. Start with those, get comfortable building out your flows, and I think that will be a good way to do it. If you go into one of your more complicated ones that have 1,000 different true false decision points in your process builder, and you try to move that one over, number one, you're risking breaking an awful lot, and that is a big thing to consider. But you're also still learning, so I wouldn't risk it with a critical object. Do it on something smaller. Here's something else I would recommend you not do. If you are going to transition an existing process builder to a record trigger flow, do it all or nothing on that object. Don't mix the two. You don't want to have part of what's happening on that account process builder, leave part of it in process builder, and then put part of it in the record trigger flow. Don't do that. You're only making the performance significantly harder. Not to mention you're creating an awful lot of technical debt from just the ability to manage your environment. That would be a nightmare to try to keep track of what do I have to go to process builder for versus what do I need to go to record trigger.
Well, and just one other thing with multiple automation types on a single object, or really just multiple automations period on a single object, is going back to order of execution.
Yes.
I mean, that right there is it's very hard to get around that. And sorry if you hear jackhammers and stuff. I'm in a bathroom remodel. But just being able, trying to manage what's going to happen when, because it is slightly out of your control. Whereas if you can hone it into one thing, you have the control.
Yes. Yeah. And I like, I've worked with a lot of customers where I've transitioned them out of workflow roles into process builder, because that was what we had at the time. Granted, we had record trigger flows is fairly new. There are some things you can't do with record trigger flows. When I first was doing this presentation, we didn't have that dollar before or prior record. So that was a really nice addition. In the this summer release that's coming out, we're also getting things like is changed as an option. So if a field is changed, we've got that capability. So there's a ton of really nice new things that are happening in Flow in this next release. So that'll be the bar is getting narrower with what we can't do in a Flow compared to what we could do in Process Builder. The one thing that I've had one person interact with me about and talk with me, I thought was really a valid point. And I know that they're working on this one. It's just not released yet. Is the ability to call other flows from within a record trigger flow. That to me would be huge, because if you were trying to build out your entire process in a record trigger flow using that method that I was showing you, that could get really, really long and kind of gnarly. And it'd be nice if we could just within that decision path call a different flow or a subflow and say, go do this thing, and then come back when you're done. Question. Can you post the order of execution image that you use? That is actually, Connie, on my website. So if you go to terrystidbits.com, there is an entire blog post on order of execution. You'll find it out there. You'll also find on the website, if this was something that you were curious about and you found this helpful, there's a blog post on every one of the record trigger, the common process builder elements that we would do. There's a specific post on my website for each of those. So if you're wanting to know how do you create your flow, there's a post on that. There's one for the update element. There's one for assignments. All of that's out there, so you can certainly take a look at that. Let's see, there was a question. Does record again go through save procedures after the update like workflow? It would have to, which is also, I think, why you see the after trigger flow run a little bit longer than the before. So yes, it could. If you design your decisions correctly, you should always design them in a way that they will not run unless they need to. So let me give you an example. In our CSTAT rating, we were setting that priority to high. We didn't check to see was the CSAT rating already high. If it was, we shouldn't have even bothered updating it. We should have had that in our condition so that it skipped that particular update. That concept should apply with any of your decisions. Don't go down a path if you don't need to. You're creating an awful lot of bandwidth on your performance hits by updating records when you don't need to do it. Yeah, don't repaint the wall, it's already been painted. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Let's see, is there other questions? I don't know if I'm missing any. Is there an admin readable debug log or something like that to confirm that it runs? That is an area that I have to be terribly honest, because I really like record trigger flows, but that is a weakness right now, the debugging process on a record trigger flow. When you're inside of the canvas, there is a debug button that will open up a panel on the side that allows you to simulate the running of a flow. However, that does not work with record trigger flows. I don't know why. But it is a bit of a pain. I think that we're going to see that get corrected with time. They have with like screen flows and auto launch flows, they have done a lot of enhancements related to debugging, and those are super cool. So it is getting easier. It's just a matter of it hasn't reached over yet to the record trigger flow. Great question.
And again, also before anybody floods the idea exchange or the prioritization site with why haven't you done this yesterday because I thought about it instead of writing it down, there's probably a big why that we don't have it yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that is true.
On that one, Terry, I've done it before where I put an error into the flow and then I get the email that says like, this is everything that just happened. Is that how you do it too? Or is there anything else?
I've done, not on the record trigger flow. In fact, I think when I first started doing record trigger flows, I could get away with this. And they stopped me last time I tried. I would put a decision at the very beginning of my flow that said if I would have a variable for an input variable, and when I hit debug, you'll get prompted for those input variables, and I would say if I am giving you a variable like a record ID, what I was doing initially is I would set $record equal to whatever that ID is that I was passing in to my input. And believe it or not, it actually would let me debug it. It wouldn't update the actual record because it really wasn't $record. It was, but it allowed me to simulate a run, which was amazing. And last time I tried it, they stopped it. So that kind of made me sad. But yeah, there's some fun things you can do for sure. Other questions? For those of you who are brand new to Flow, was this helpful to you? Just give me kind of some feedback on that. Maybe a little bit less intimidating. Yes, Connie, thank you. A big yes. Awesome. Good. What I hope is that you realize that it really isn't that different. Yes, the screens are laid out slightly different, but the themes between Process Builder, what you already know and probably love about Process Builder, they're there in Flow too. It's just laid out a little bit different. So,
Hey, Terry.
And go ahead.
Sorry, I do have a question. Hi, my name's Corinne. Hey, so a couple of questions really. Number one, is there a best practice on how many types of flows to create? I know for Process Builder, they recommend one or two, one for create, one for update. Is that the same application that we would use for flows?
I do, and I've been waiting for other Flow experts to tell me if they agree with that. So far, everybody I've talked to say that they are doing the same thing. I have not seen any documentation from Salesforce recommending one way or the other, but everyone that I've talked to that I consider to be Flow experts are saying put them in the same flow.
And I
Now,
think
granted,
that
you will have a before and an after, but yeah.
And I think that also, though, ties to the best practice of knowing your business process and knowing what you're trying to achieve with the flow before you actually start building it. One of the things that in 7 or 8 years of working with Flow that I've personally loved about it is it's taught me to think like a developer and taught me to think like an architect, because you have to take the big picture into consideration. It also teaches you to follow how the ball bounces, but that also, if every piece of automation you build is a tactical response to a question versus taking it back to what are we trying to accomplish here? What's the bigger picture? It actually becomes a lot less sustainable if everything's tactical. So if you have the big picture in mind, if you have the business process in mind, you're going to get to the right number of pieces of automation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Very good.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I was very curious and excited for this presentation because we tried to migrate one of our the account Process Builder over into a flow, and and we have, I don't know, upwards of 20 diamonds in our Process Builder.
Okay.
So when we migrated that over to an account flow, we ran into a whole bunch of errors that we wouldn't find very typical. And I thought that it was surprising. A lot of them were DML limits, SQL query limits, and none of that we never ran into that with a Process Builder. So how do we account for that?
Yeah, if you're hitting that, my guess is that you may have some loops. Were you using any loops inside of your record trigger flow?
Yes, on a couple of objects.
Okay, so check inside of those loops to make sure there's no DML actions happening there.
Gotcha.
If there are, those need to be, what you would want to use is an assignment variable or assignment element, and write, you're gonna use a collection. So a collection is nothing more than a multiple records. You're going to create inside of your loop the individual record and write it to your record collection. Once you're done with the loop, you're going to then do your update statement or your create. So you're doing a single DML call that holds all of the records that you need to create or update.
And then it would just update them all at once.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, odds are that is where you're running into the challenge.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to bring up here a something that I will throw out as an offer to you. I've had a couple people take me up on this, and I definitely want to try to help people learn flow. And sorry, I'm not looking at you. I'm trying to figure out where how to get you this link. So and is that it? I am so not a Google expert, but I've got a Google form out here. What I'm looking to do to help people with flow is, if you want to sit virtually side by side with me and work on a flow that would be helpful for you, I am looking for just a 2 or 3 volunteers that have a good use case for a flow that you would like to be able to build. That link there, if you fill that out, it'll take you to a Google form where you can key in some information. What we'll likely do, so this is, I think, where I've got a ton of caveats in here. I need this to be something that you can share publicly, because we will record it. We will probably live stream it. You have to be comfortable with the concept that you're going to be on camera. If that's not you, then don't do this. But what I have found with my clients is that if I'm able to work with them through a screen flow and talk them through the process, I have found that they are picking it up extremely quickly. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can throw that out there. So I'll just give that to you as something that might be useful for you. So
That's a huge, amazing offer.
It's kind of fun. I like doing it. You know, we were talking, Dale, at the beginning. I love doing this stuff. So it's fun to be able to work with folks and help you learn and see the progress. I've done this with several clients, obviously not publicly, but if that's something that you think would be helpful, by all means, let's work together on it. Any other questions? Wish I had a use case to do. Make one up, Connie, if you want to. Just come up with something good. All right, Dale, I'll turn it back over to you.
Fantastic. Well, that actually times out really super well, because I do have to reclaim my Zoom account to get over, back to work. Back to work, everybody. Sorry, it's been fun, but no. Terry, this is awesome and amazing and very much appreciated as usual. Flow is definitely the future of Salesforce, but there is still a big learning gap that I think a lot of people need to overcome. And so it's content like this that definitely decreases the gap significantly. So thank you so much for doing this. Hopefully when we meet next in May, we may hear some success stories of people taking your tips and guidance and being able to move the ball forward. So yeah, like I said, we will get the registration site out for our next meeting in May here as soon as I have it all put together. Would love to have anybody do what Terry just did and present on what you're passionate about or something that you think might be helpful. The speaker interest form will be in the deck that we will share, hopefully by this weekend. Same thing with the recording to YouTube, hopefully by this weekend, if not sooner. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate the time that you give us to do this. We're all in this together. We're all here to learn and grow. And Terry, again, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Be well, everybody. Be as well as you can be. That's it's relative to you. We're all here for each other. And if we don't talk sooner, we will see you May 26th. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right.